You know what I love about it? I love the hair is a little short.
Yeah.
You've got your whole neck exposed. You've got the sundress. So you obviously feel really comfortable.
I do. What a difference.
It looks fantastic.
So good.
You look terrific.
Thank you, and you did it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, this whole area is nice and soft. The line here, as you may remember, that was from the prior surgery.
Yes.
And this whole area was indented.
Yes.
That looks terrific. Yes. This side looks beautiful. Let me just put my glasses here. And what I really like to see here is how well the incision healed back here, and you can't even see it.
No.
You know?
I haven't even been putting the scar cream back there.
No scar cream. And this way, if you wanted to, you could even put your hair up.
Yes.
And it's maybe a little bit light, but that's going to come in, and the incision line in front of the ear looks terrific as well.
Right on the hairline, so you can't even see it.
Right. Well, that's everyone. I like to say every once in a while I know what I'm doing. Every once in a while, and this just looks absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Terrific. Okay. Let me see that. Yeah, she healed beautifully here. This area right over here, that's probably the last kind of incision to ultimately go away, but you can't even see in front of the ear, and then behind the ear she's just healed beautifully. This is the incision from her original surgery. Mm-hmm. My incision is back here, and this whole incision was really tethered down, so that looks fantastic.
Beautiful. Everything
I love
healed
it.
Beautifully. I can't
Yay!
thank you enough.
Yeah, I love seeing that smile. I love seeing the smile.
You can wear my hair up, and you can wear a nice dress and feel good.
That's great. That's what it's all
I
about.
always said you're an angel. You're my angel.
You're sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Any other? It's an opportunity for you to maybe tell other people about your experience and what were maybe good or bad. I always want to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So was there any?
It was a wonderful experience. It was the recovery wasn't that as bad as I thought it would be, because when I had the surgery for the tumor, the recovery
that was bad.
Yeah. But no, everything went really well.
Good. Well, you also have a great attitude, and I think that plays a huge role. And I think that just as much as people have different pain and pain tolerance levels, different people have a sort of a whole different mindset on how they handle discomfort or how they handle inconveniences. And you were a delight. You really were.
I trusted you completely. As soon as I met you, I trusted you. And Marissa, she was always there, and she helped me when I was nervous, and I would call, and she would calm me down, and you're a great team.
Thanks. Yeah, I will say, I my results I think are pretty darn good, and I'll go up against whoever in the world, but when it comes down to my staff is the best in the world. Period. And I will tell that to everybody who asks. They are amazing. Oh yeah, and then and just to reiterate, you want to talk a little bit about how we met and how that whole thing was really funny. Just in case you forgot, this is really funny.
Well, about 8 years ago, I had developed this tumor. Actually, it started about 10 years ago, and I worked in a medical center, and my doctor really pushed me into trying to find someone who would remove this tumor, because I was told it was inoperable. And I had been to doctor after doctor, and they identified the tumor, but it was inoperable. It was large. And it would continue to grow until it just stopped growing one day. But the doctor I work with really encouraged me to do some research, and I did. And I researched, and I found Dr. Miller online. He had written a paper on this surgery, and I contacted him, email, and I gave him all my information on where I'd been and how discouraging it had been. And the very next morning I got an email from him, and he told me he didn't do that surgery now, but Dr. Delacure did, and he referred me to Dr. Delacure.
Who's Dr. Mark Delacure is a dear colleague of mine over at NYU. So you,
And I made the appointment. I walked into Dr. Delacure's office. He said, I can take care of this. And a short time later, the tumor was gone. He removed the tumor. Again, the recovery was a little rough because it was a very detailed surgery.
and associated with taking out the tumor, unfortunately, was taking out a lot of other structures that were in the neck, including the muscles and including
Jugular
the
vein.
jugular vein, and most really potentially problematic was that the carotid artery, responsible for feeding all the blood to the brain, was now just under the skin, as was the phrenic nerve responsible for moving your diaphragm. So you're now recovering with this skin that is plastered down on the neck, where right below it is the carotid artery, the phrenic nerve, and some other major structures. So now we've got, keep going.
So years after, because I had to wait, and it didn't come back, and Dr. Delacure referred me because I wanted to have this horrible defect that I had, this big hole in my neck, fixed.
And how many years afterwards was
It
this?
must have been 5 or 6 years.
So at this point, he doesn't remember who referred the patient to him.
No.
And you're just seeing him as part of a regular standard
Yes. Yes.
cancer patient.
Yes. And he referred me. He said, well, I work with Dr. Miller, with repairs, of the neck, and he referred me to Dr. Miller. And at that point, I didn't quite remember who Dr. Miller was. And it wasn't until I was sitting in the office with Dr. Miller, and did I remember that this is how this whole journey for me started, and here I am today.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Yeah. The loop got closed.
Yes.
And I remember the look in your eyes. All of a sudden, you sort of looked at me and you're like, wait a second. Wait a second. You're Dr. Philip. You're
Yes.
the one who referred me
Yes.
to Dr. Delacure.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
it was
went full circle.
full circle.
And I do consider both of these doctors my angels, because without them, I would still be walking around. I don't know what I would look like or feel like, or what would have happened to me. But now I'm retired. I'm going to Florida. I'm wearing a nice dress, and I feel great.
Terrific. Well, look, more importantly, and just as well, thank you for sharing it with those who get inspiration and support from doing something which is somewhat intimidating and scary, but letting them know that there are people out there who really do care about patients and
Yes.
want to help them.
Yes,
So,
and you do. You too. Thank you again.
Thank you.